education sector is one of the sector mostly affected by the crisis because of the lockdowns it caused. As the result, the online learning platform began to operate as the best way to pursue one's education. This is more apparent now that the curriculum is being conceived as a complicated conversation. In a complex and unequal world, the well-being of students requires diverse and even conflicting visions of the world. It is a problem, and now we study to address them. The dilemma in peer personal responsibilities. Did this affect the students' cognitive development?
In this virtual presentation, we, the students' researcher, will present our formulated research topics and questions. We all do know that it's important for our topic to inspire us and will keep us motivated throughout our research journey. We make sure that our topics stay up to date with the most recent developments in our fields. This will ensure our idea achievable, credible, and realistic. These include the Google form as an effective way of assessing formative examinations, the efficiency of tablet assistance program to motivate the students, and the dilemma in peer personal responsibility faced by our students here in Binyan Integrated National High School. My co-researchers Paula, Axel, Eliza, Justin, Maron, Lance, and Kyla take the floor.
In trying times like this, people are affected in all possible ways by the pandemic that we are currently facing. And students are one of the greatly affected people. Not only do they experience lack of interest, but also go through a series of loss of motivation to continue to study. Therefore, we have decided to come up with this topic because it is timely and relevant. Not to mention that our school, Binyan Integrated National High School, was also part of this electronic gadget assistance program wherein they distributed hundreds of tablets to the students. Moreover, we chose this topic because we wanted to know if the program launched by our government has helped cater towards a more meaningful education of students. Furthermore, a lot of students use this gadget inaccessibility as an excuse not to attend or do their modules. So now that our local government has already provided for us, this may or may not be a way to kind of create a sense of obligation for the learners to study more. Adding the fact that we, the researchers, are under the STEM strand, whereas we are talking about technology that is also highly relevant in this modern generation we are in. Now, let me present the set of research questions we have formulated for this topic. As per the general question, what do you think are the pros and cons of this electronic gadget assistance program? Followed by the sub-questions, what did you first do as soon as you got the tablet? Having this question, we will know which students know their priorities and not, whether they downloaded their modules in their tablet first or other unnecessary applications and non-related to school. And then next is, in what way or ways do you think this government program has helped towards the learners' motivation? This begs to find out whether or not the government's action is sufficient to the learners' motivation, because some for sure would take advantage of this assistance program. In addition to this, some questions are like, how does this gadget enhance your learning skills as a student? What do you think is the reason behind this electronic gadget assistance program? How satisfied are you with this government action amidst pandemic? How might this gadget assistance affect the learner's obligation to study? And what has improved in your approach to your studies as a result of the gadget assistance?
Furthermore, the question, how often do you use tablet for your school purposes? tends to know how frequent does the student use the tablet for school purposes. Since the pandemic brought different mode of learning, corresponding mode or online mode, this research wants to comprehend the tablet is useful to the both different school purposes. The last question, which is how does the tablet allow the more students to participate a level that it makes them motivated, will know if the tablet's valuable student that is it really make them motivate or more motivated studying, admins, and pandemic. The question will give rise to understandable outcome on how the tablet bring a constructive impact to the student
This topic
motivation.
simply because we can relate with it. We, as a student, the only thing we can do is to fulfill our responsibilities as learner, complying the teacher's given tasks and activities while doing the responsibilities in our homes. Having the entire family at home for an extended period of time, together with pursuing education during the distance learning, causes meal dishes, laundry trash, responsibility, activities, examination, and other quickly filling up. So, we wanted to know if these arousing problems of youth in determining what to do first or prioritize could be a deterrent to advance students' performances. There is not a consensus among us, researchers, about the participants of young in household chores. On the other hand, we want to know if personal responsibilities may negatively affect one's cognitive development during the distance learning. Because in addition to having little time for leisure, adolescents who perform household chores have their school performance affected more, frequently miss classes and experience school failures and have less time to do schoolworks. And here are some prospective questions that our group came up. First, how does home responsibility affect your academic performance? Then next, do you experience some problems by coping with the new normal in education? Then third, what is the relationship of new learning modality to the dilemmas faced by the student? Fourth, why the student get distracted and they can't focus on the school works? 5. Do you prepare to continue the education in spite of the pandemic? Then next, can you rate from 1 to 10 on how you're struggling with the new normal education? And what are the problems that students face nowadays that affecting their academics performance? Ninth question, how the new learning system affected the academic performance of the students? And lastly, does the new learning modality have a big impact to the life of students?
Running through that questions, here's the brief explanation of some of it. The first question, how does home responsibilities affect their academic performance? We'll know if the home responsibilities have effects on their academic performance. By surveying, this question will give us the information we need for data gathering about how home responsibilities affect their academic performance. In the question, do you experience some problems while coping with the new normal in education? Was purpose to know if the new normal setup in education has an effect to the students' academic performances. This question will give the reason and the factors that affect the academic performance of the students. And lastly, what are the effects of peer personal responsibilities to the academic performance of the students? It tends to know how peer personal responsibilities affecting the academic performance of the students since the learning system changed because of the pandemic. This question will know the effects of new learning modality.
During this new setup of learning, it is very vital to know how the teacher will assess written formative examination of the students. This is to test how innovative ways such as assessing exams in Google Forms save time and maximize students' engagement and learning. However, when it comes to assessment, teachers may shy away from analyzing data because it is time-consuming, or thereby decide to focus more on improving instructional practices and decide to abandon the data collection strategy. Google Forms organizes and groups the data and allows teachers to more efficiently analyze data and provides more time for teachers to develop creative solutions to meet the needs of their students.
Google Forms is a free and underutilized tool available to educators that could fulfill a role in providing formative assessment during this distant learning. To date, there is no research concerning the link between Google Forms and formative assessment. This study will show to demonstrate the accessibility between credibility and reliability by linking Google Forms as the way to access formative assessment. The researcher will use data from Google Forms to make instructional changes which impact student learning.
There are the questions that the researchers have formulated. The general question, which is, what are the characteristic and advanced elements possessed by the Google Forms, enabling it as the most efficient way in access formative examination of the student during the distant learning? And these are the some questions related to this topic. And number 1, how Google Forms access formative examination? And number 2, in what way does Google Forms link accessibility during the distant learning? And number 3, how does Google Forms help teacher in accessing student written performance? And number 4, what are the guiding stories of expertise informed in assessment of certain written learning? And number 5, what are the desired interaction between the student and teacher framework to meet social time needs in using Google Forms? And number 6, how Google Forms promotes expertise and discipline student taking online assessment and examination? And number 7, do you encounter some errors using the applications?